Smart 24, driving business.
We'll be back from the break, and of course you are still glued to Smart 24 TV's Policon, discussions rotating around politics and the economic sphere of the country, and how the two affect and impact the lives of the normal Ugandans and of course the entire country, that inclusive of the people who pushers or stakeholders of Uganda's economy today, that is whether local or foreign investors. All these policies that are aligned politically have an impact, or how they affect the economy, or how they also affect on the provisions given. Not only that, but also the day-to-day activities in the country's social and economic stability or social development. But besides that, our conversations today are pretty much rotating around how the poor loan performance in the country does affect the social and economic development of the country. Because sometimes we get to realize every organization in the country, both a public or a private organization, do apply for these loans. And of course, loans in most of the cases are applied for a given duty or for something that is supposed to be very urgent. In most cases, this is why you find out that, for example, most government bodies either go and apply for loans from commercial banks, or the government itself borrowing money from commercial banks. We've seen private sector players also doing the same, reason being that sometimes maybe the national treasury, for example, in a government space, has limited funds to meet the demand of various sectors or various ministries. So of course, applying for a loan does seem to be the only viable venture at the moment. But then, sometimes we realize that when these loans are applied for, those who apply for these loans tend not to at least execute what they intended to do with these loans. And this has left lots of questions for most of the Ugandan people who are affected due to this, because sometimes a minister or a member of parliament does seek for these funds to go and maybe help provide a given social service to the people he's representing or she is representing in a given constituency. But then sometimes you realize that the ministry under which this money goes through, definitely the money never does what is expected to be done, or only halfway of the work, just like Honorable Tugonza Allen did mention here. Sometimes you realize it is only a 50% of the job done, and we are happy to commission that particular project or a given program, and we never ask these questions. But like I did mention before the break, that when we return, kind of discussion is going to be rotating around the National Economy Committee, which has been trying to address and meeting up different ministries and different sectorial bodies under different ministries to at least give reports on how the loans performed, or the loans that they applied for performed. Now, Honorable, starting from there, by the look of things, how has it been so far? When you look at how have the presentation been? Can we look at them and say it has been satisfactory, or there are lots of questions behind?
Thank you, Sonko. So far, we have had a number of concerns in terms of the performance of these loans. Both presentation, a number of MDIs or ministries have tried to respond to what we requested them to report back to us. But others, which we feel maybe it's intentional, because we have been, mostly the project we have had field visits to have issues. And you could also see those ones which have issues in the field are the same ones whose reports are not well presented. So it can't be by coincidence. For us in politics, we feel it can't be by coincidence. So that's why we pushed them back to go and revise them so that they can meet the expectation of the committee
Yes.
Why, I think you were asking why we pushed them back.
For example, why are some ministries pushed back, or why are some reports rejected?
Yeah, because you find the letter was clear from the committee that we need the financial component and also the technical component, the narrative. But ministry brings only the narrative side of it, with the components not with its financial figures, not with its financials. So that alone couldn't allow us to do our oversight role, because we want to know if you supported the Nabukera farm or something as agriculture, how much to build a laboratory, how much did you use? So that if we go for field visit, we have engineers, we have technical people in parliament. They can also say, "Yo, you said you built a lab. Where is it? We want to see it." Yeah. So we just wanted to know the amount of money. And my question wasn't answered up to now. I wanted to put something to rest. I asked KCCA. Luckily enough, we are going to meet them again. I asked UNRA or Minister of Works, how much does it cost a Ugandan to build a 1 kilometer road of a given standard? Let us say for lane, this quality. We put this to rest. None of them gave me that response. We don't have that answer. And that is what Ugandans want. We want to know, are we getting value for money from our money?
Okay.
Are these projects worth it for this country? And when you bring a report which doesn't address Ugandans in terms of oversight on value for money, then it's not worth a report.
Okay. So that is why. So by the look of things, which reports were rejected? Because one of the key reports that were rejected that was highlighted was the one of the Civil Aviation Authority.
Yeah.
And you did tell me off air that one was later on reapproved.
Yes,
they returned with a better report.
With a better report, yes. And we reapproved it, giving us the financial component. And of course, we still have a field visit now to verify what they told us in the boardroom. So to me, it is the quality of the report. It is the now inflation, the inflated figures. It is about the quality of the work, real work on ground, that we are interested in as people's representative, as an oversight role. Yes.
Okay. And the one of Kampala City Council Authority, was it rejected or approved?
Yes, it was rejected.
Why? Why then was it rejected?
Sonko, we really need to get serious as a country.
Okay.
We all live in this city. We all live in this country. When we are reporting certain things, let people know we are not always closed in those rooms.
Okay.
Yeah, even we are people who move around.
And we are seeing,
we are observing things. So in observing, look at the potholes we have in this city.
Quite many, every suburb and every route.
Yes. What is disappointing, with all the monies we have injected in this institution, we still have roads like the industrial
7th and 6th
Street. You can't imagine. These are things we need to address. There are potholes everywhere. I was asking you, CLBG, we have put in a lot of money in drainage and what, but we are still flooding. We are telling these people, look, you people, you travel. We also travel.
Yes.
Go and learn some lessons at lesser cost. This money can do wonders in this country, and we would have a clean, flood-free, pothole-free country and city. And that's what we are trying as Parliament to achieve, in that to put more pressure on them to make sure that we upscale our oversight role, so that these funds can be used for the purpose it was intended to.
Okay.
Yes.
Some of the reporters at Parliament did reveal that apparently Kampala City Council Authority does say the money was less. And that is what it did not meet some of the loans that they applied for did meet the expectations because they fell short of funds.
You see, now that is, they should have also answered the other question.
Yes.
How much is a kilometer
of the road?
Of a road.
Because you did mention they do the study before they even apply for this.
The feasibility study, so that we can know this money we gave you was in position to cover only these kilometers
of roads.
But when they don't give us the unit cost, we'll still gamble. That is the problem. It's less how much do you need to cover this number of kilometers. This is a simple math. We can all sit down and address and get to know whether the money we are giving this institution is not enough or it's enough. So what I'm trying to say is, let us as a country try as much as possible to be responsible, to do our work, and to minimize wastage. For lack of better words, maybe corruption.
Okay. And on a positive note, how then do you rate a good report? For example, if the ministry has at least brought back the report that, well, our performance was done at this and this, because I was having a conversation still with one of our parliamentary reporters here, saying that for a report to be considered good, at least it should have the performance, that this is how the money, this is how we use the money.
Yes.
Secondly, we fell short of the money here and couldn't complete this.
Yes.
And you give us every little detail. Is that all that is considered for a good report before the committee?
A good report, Thonko, you should remember, we give this money after the respective institution has presented to us what they are going to use the money for. Now, a good report would be that report that addresses the intentions that you had in the beginning. Now, let us say you were supposed to construct a hospital.
Yes.
You told us you need 7 billion. We gave you 7 billion. Okay. When you come back, we want to know how far have you gone with a proposal you gave us, we supported, to be funded by 7 billion. Now what? Now what are the challenges? Now that's what I'm saying. The challenge should be I've run short by 5% or 10% low. At some extent even saving. There is no saving at all. How? Why do we have now? In the first place, why do we have these the technical people who did the feasibility study, who gave us the report? Worst case still, you find the design has been changed to the worse, not to the better, and then they need more money. You see how now disturbing it can be.
Yeah, sure.
Yes, you told us you are going to do 7 kilometers. You have done it too, like the case of an agricultural loan which was doing chalk roads to access farmers. You tell people you are going to do 20 kilometers. You reduce them to 10. You still physically only work on the 2 kilometers. That is a bad report. A good report would be you have worked on the 20 kilometers, you have run short by 5%. It's understandable.
Okay. And then also, I hear the members of parliament require a financial and physical performance of a loan facility that has been extended. Break this down for us. Financial as in the monetary matters, and when it comes to physical, what is the physical performance that you look at before the committee? Before we go for physical oversight role, of course we go through what we were told money was going to be used for. Okay. And that means like the project document. So when we go there, we would expect a certain facility or work to be done. When we get on the field and we find work which has been done is, of course, that's how we get the percentage of progress of work. Okay. We find out that it's less than what we are promised in the project design, in the project document. We now get interested. Now this is the financial part. How much money have been disbursed? How much money has been used?
if they have dispersed 50% of the money,
Yeah.
but the physical work you're still for building and for the purpose of this show. If we are building and a road, you are supposed to do 100 kilometers of a road, you have been given 50% of the money, but you have only constructed 1 kilometer of the road. That one doesn't need an expert to tell me there is a poor performance here. Because 50% of the money has been given to you, we expect at least 30-40% of the work to be done, or 50 for that matter. But you find a person has been given, there are projects like that. A person has been given advance and is not anywhere on site. He has done nothing. The work he has done is can't represent 10% of the work he's supposed to do. Now that is the problem. Yes.
Okay. Now, to some of the viewers out there, most of the Ugandan people normally love knowing at least what happens after a given body like KCCA fails to at least release a report on the performance. Does this affect the next loan that they are going to be given, or does it actually make them unliable for any loan whatsoever?
I think now that's where we as Parliament have to come in.
Okay.
And we as Parliament, we need to decide on that. Where an institution has not performed, the loan has not performed according to expectation, we don't approve the next loan.
Okay.
But Sonko, I want you and the viewers, I want you to understand the challenge we normally face in this. For example, if it's like the Ministry of Health, it is expected to perform an specific loan now that we have approved. We approved the loan of the Heart Institute, doing a construction of the Heart Institute in Nakawa. Now, if they don't perform, we can't. Another loan may come. We may get another request for a loan, which is going to address shortage of drugs.
Yes.
You can understand the challenge Parliament would be faced with, in that if we don't now give this, allocate this money to the Ministry of Health because of the previous loan that didn't perform well, of course we are not delivering service to our people. What I think now, government should come in, enforcement bodies should come in, IGG and all the other bodies should come in and punish, reprimand and punish the culprits of this loan or this previous project. Then we continue with these other new projects, because we need development, we need service delivery, we can't attach the poor performance of this loan to the next loan, though in the same ministry. We can deal with the culprits, we can deal with this project in isolation, but we continue funding and supporting other projects within the ministry.
And then what should these ministries do, for example? I still feel we're going to face all these challenges every year. We are trying to prevent corruption ongoing, and even those who work in the ministry will tell you they are fighting corruption within those ministries, or even different government bodies will tell you, no, we're corruption free. Everywhere you go to a government body, they will tell you we're corruption free environment. We push for a corruption free entities in the country. What then do you think should be done in these ministries, besides the policy makers? Because however much you, the policy makers, members of parliament, set out these good policies and every little thing out there, the groundwork has to be felt from the other side of the coin. What do you think should be done within those sectors to see that these loans perform to at least 80% of, because like you did mention, most of them don't even reach a 50% mark. But at least if we have a result of 80%, then we know we are performing well.
Thank you, Sonko. I think this one is multi-faced.
Okay.
But the biggest indictment will go to the executive arm of government, which has then the judiciary. It can't be business as usual when the country is losing these wholesome sums of money, and then people keep on moving court-free. I would look at one example of the OPM office and how it was handled. If all these government ministries were handled the same way, I think it's my conviction that we would have minimized corruption in this country. The problem is the corrupt feel there is no reprimand. They will deal with the judiciary. They will deal with the parliament. And this is the problem. They will deal with the police. This is the problem. As a country, we need, it's everyone's duty, and the big share, of course, falls on the executive arm of government to make sure that corruption is punished, to make sure that look, if a person who has been corrupt in one ministry can be, for lack of a better word, let him be sacked
from that
position and reprimanded, made to refund these funds.
That is if they are found guilty.
If they are found guilty. But now that one is through the judiciary now. Police. We have given them all the legal framework. We have given the policy side, we have tried. Every time we feel there is a loophole, we sit and fill it. But you don't see that the same being affected the other side. There will always be a way. I think, to me, this anti-corruption court, we should have a special court for these people. In fact, as a country, we need to be bold enough to face this vice. It is finishing us because a lot of money is being lost in projects that are revolutionary, that are very transformational, that would have seen our people out of poverty and really move us to a middle income economy. That is a fact. But we are losing that because of corruption. Now it's normal. Everything is inflated. It is normal to buy a bag of cement in an open market at 35, but when they are for a project, it is at 150. And it passes. I wonder, so even this, it is upon everyone now. This one, it's upon all of us. We in the legislative arm, judiciary, I would insist judiciary, and then the executive. That's where the loophole is. If we all tighten our nuts, this vice, this country will prosper. We have neighboring countries which have chosen that path. And unfortunately now, or fortunately, when you go there, people, you just wonder how little can do much if corruption is curbed.
And well, obviously, conversations rotating around corruptions can never go to bed in a country like ours, because today we are corruption free. Not even today. 1 hour we are corruption free. The other hour there is a case being reported, or there is something not going right as it should be. Our discussions are rotating around how poor loan performance is affecting the development of the country, both socially and economically. I believe that is something that every other person who is employed or who is governing a given government entity and is responsible for these particular funds from government is supposed to be very, very well questioned about how these loans perform. And well, besides that, when we do return after the break, in our last segment of our discussion, we're going to be rotating around the bigger question. How does this poor loan performance affect? Because one person may think it is just a talk in town, or talk about a discussion rotating around how these loans are taken and everything. But then how does it affect you, a layman Ugandan out there, the wananchi, for example, the small and medium-sized enterprises in there? Now also those who are actually running bigger companies. These are things that we tend not to look at in most of the cases. For example, when it comes to the economic factors, some people normally only focus on the money and their businesses. You don't want to understand how the political sphere is affecting you or is likely to impact on the growth of your business, or how it may affect and lead to the collapse of the latter, unfortunately. But Besides that, also we're going to be looking at how our discussions will as well look at how, for example, the International Monetary Fund, the World Bank, and other international financiers have responded, or how do they respond to such cases or such reports of poor loan performance, especially when it comes to the money that they give to us, because we completely run short of funds sometimes, and we have to run out of the country to at least apply for these loans and get extended credit facilities, for example, that is only offered through the International Monetary Fund and the World Bank, I should say. But then how do they respond when they hear of reports? Because they do have offices here and representatives in the country. What is their response when we poorly use these funds that we apply for? And then what impact does it have? For example, in the long run, sometimes when we apply for these loans, now a loan that actually constructed the road, that is the Entebbe Express Highway. Now, in case we do not meet the time frame that we were given to complete this loan, or a payback of this loan, then what next for the future generations? Are we going to be living in a debt for all these years to come or not? These are discussions that we're going to be having immediately after the break. You're still watching the Policon, and I'm Joram Posonko, your host here, and I'm still with Honorable Atugonza Alan, a Member of Parliament, Bulisa County, and also sitting on the National Economy Committee.